for coming. The topic, CRSPR editing and Halacha and Hashkafa. I knew as much as the topic a couple of days ago as anyone else in the room, probably less. Went through the sugya a little bit, obviously just an informative share, just interesting the different topics that pop in Halacha and Hashkafa, and obviously it's provoking and things that you can discuss and delve into your own, but these are just some of the shilas. So CRSPR stands for Clustered Regularly Interspersed Palindromic Repeats, which is basically a mahalach. What they discovered, and go through the whole history, was a process that was discovered in 2012, and it was illegally, the first time it was done illegally by a researcher in China and on humans, and basically what they do is they basically are able to, we have, the average human is around 20,000 genes, and the genes are made up of billions, I think, of nucleotides, which are basically, think of it for the amateur, you can think of it like code in a computer, make it a little easier for me. Numbers and letters, obviously there's a certain code, and if one of the genes are a problematic gene, or there's something off, then it can cause, one mutation in a gene can cause up to approximately 6,000 diseases. The reason why this topic actually numbers just came up also for me was that I have a cousin, not from, I don't know if that's, just that was the case, and there was a spinal issue in the family, spinal gene that I don't know, spinal bifida or something else, and they basically, in fact, they able to, they altered the gene, they replaced it with a healthy gene, and the baby was born, in fact, without that problematic gene. Which is an interesting thing that can be done. For anything, obviously, the shaila is there's a risk factor, whatever the risk factor is involved in sakana and the way the risk and the gains. That's also a shaila, as it develops, it gets more and more safe. But obviously, it's something to deal with and discuss with one of the shailas that have to come up. So beyond the risk factor, let's discuss maybe some of the other questions that come up. That first shaila, which is really a klaliistic shaila, a general shaila, which is not specific to this, is just the shaila of refuah in general. There's the Gemara in Baba Kama learns out, Tanah Rabbi Shmuel, Omer, Rabbi, Mikansha, Nitin, Rishos, the Roy for the Rabbi. So the doctor's allowed to give, is allowed to treat somebody. And the Havamina would have been, why can't you go to a doctor? Why can a doctor not treat somebody? Taisa speaks out because maybe he wants to differentiate between a makabidei adam, a person hits you and you get a sickness and illness, or a wound from a person, or Hashemayim, Hashem sends an illness to a person, so that's what Hashem wanted. You would think it's Kisoisrik Zeres HaMelech, Taisa says, it's like, so to speak, going against the will of God, so how could you do that? But the pasuk says, no, you're still allowed to do that. And not only that, there's Rishus L'Rei for the Rabbis, the Rambam in Pirush Mishnayos, in fact, says, Chayiv HaRoifim Min Adin L'Rabbis, Mechuyev Choyle Nefesh, and it's B'chlal HaPasuk of Hashivoy Soloi. The person is obligated to do Hashavas Aveda, the person's money, the person's objects. So when it comes to a person's goof, when to heal a person, for sure, it's an obligation upon a doctor or anyone who's with ability hatzala, anyone who's in that field, anyone who's capable of that. It's very interesting. Ibn Ezra, this is obviously, if you live in Ezra, a lot of medical shilas are not really mutter. He says, Rabbi, it's the Oisha Nasan Rishus L'Reifim L'Rape HaMakois V'Aptsoim Sheyiru B'Chutz. You're only allowed to heal external wounds, external illnesses and maladies. Any internal problems in the guf, b'yad Hashem l'rapoisei. As I state, this was written with Ibn Ezra in the pasuk Rabbi writes. Obviously, I don't know if Stami heals that Halacha L'Maisa. Obviously, in Shulchan Aruch, it's not paskim at all. We don't find that in the Paiskim at all. And obviously, that's the classical understanding and psak that when we go to doctors, Rabbi obviously writes, there are other times that maybe the doctors weren't the best mahalach, but anyways, halacha ma'isa shkonach paskin not rishus l'roifet l'rapis. It's a mitzvah for a roifet for a doctor to heal. For sure, if somebody doesn't, it's shrichas damim, and he goes on. So basically, just obviously, just an interesting, just to keep in mind that going to a doctor obviously is something, but you have to take into account we need a heter for that. It's not something so simple. And Fida ben Ezra could be any internal, illnesses would not necessarily be mutter. Okay, just an interesting haskal. So really, a lot of the shiloh, pretty much the halachic aspect of the shiloh of CRISPR, of gene editing and halacha, is really a shiloh which is really as a predecessor of which is IVF, which is basically before CRISPR, forget about gene editing, there's a concept where people they can't have children, there isn't something going on, and they basically the way they do it is that they, in fact, and this is how they do CRISPR as well, they take the sperm and the egg and they'll fertilize it, IVF, in vitro fertilization, which means in a petri dish outside of the, not in the uterus, it's utero fertilization. This is outside the body, and therefore that's the process is the same. They fertilize it, and they see which eggs have the problem, which ones they like, which ones they don't, which are not good, and they end up discarding the ones that are not healthy, or the ones that are not the ones that they want to. They edited this one, and they have extra ones, and they end up throwing them away. So the big shilas would deal with shvichas damim, technically throwing away, killing a live being. It's in the Torah, obviously. The question is, what's the status at this point, at least in the process? Is that what are the shaila of shvichas damim? Another shaila would be a shaila of haitzaras zelavatala. Once we're throwing away the seed, it would be a problem of throwing away the sperm. Would be a question of one's not allowed to. Would this be a problem with this? Let's discuss the shvichas damim shaila first. There's a Gemara in Yevamis, the place can be right. The Rabbi brings a right from this Gemara. The Gemara says very fascinating, like halacha nafkamina. The Gemara says a bas kohen, that a daughter of a kohen who marries a Yisrael is not allowed to eat truma. As long as she's in her father's house, she can eat truma. She can't eat truma when she's married. If her husband dies, she goes back to her father's house and everything like it was before. If she has a child, the child continues on the legacy of, so to speak, and she's remains in this as a status of being married to Yisrael, and therefore she cannot eat truma. So the Gemara there, Chizda says that a bas kohen should not say Yisrael umei. She married a Yisrael and he died. Amar Chizda tevelas v'chelas ararboim. She's allowed to eat truma. There's no children. She's allowed to eat truma after her husband Yisrael died till 40 days. Why? Says the Gemara, Zichrub Daf.
Zion? No.
Samach Tes. Not bad. What's the picture? So the Gemara says that why should she eat truma? Maybe she's mubaris, maybe she's pregnant, we don't know yet. The Gemara says if she's not mubaris and she doesn't become mubaris, she doesn't become pregnant at all, so then again she goes back to her father's house and there's no problem and she can eat truma. V'ima abra, and if she is mubaris, that's the concern that she has a child and therefore she's considered he says halachic status of the Israelis now. So the Gemara says ad arboim till 40 days maya ba'almahu. It's only considered water. Now it's not like just like a lashon, it's just a sprach, it's just a way of speaking. It's a that's the lexicon of the Gemara. No, halacha lamaisa. We're saying that for 40 days it's maya ba'alma. There's no chashash of eating truma. Truma would be a chiv misvei shemayim if it would be it's not a joke over here. L'chara seems right, and the place can bring a right. The Rabbi brings a right, and others bring a right. Is that this Gemara seems to be saying, and it's really a shadow of abortion, maybe up to 40 days also could be, but at least in this, the particular, there's one aspect of it seems like in this Gemara that till 40 days would be considered Maya Ba'alma. Another very, 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 very interesting. So therefore, again, obviously, this stage of being in when they transplanted into the mother. It's definitely prior to 40 days, right? It's definitely, and therefore it's not going to have a problem of throwing away. It only lasts 2 weeks outside not being in the utero. Another svar to be matter to say it's not a problem of shvichas dam, throwing away the extra the sperm and the fertilized eggs that are not being used is based on a tshuva Chacham Tzvi. Chacham Tzvi says it's a famous thing. Subar actually talks about it, brings it down. He's a suffix about when the Gemara discusses Rava created a golem. Everyone debates did the Maral. Prague make a golem? Did he not make a golem? But Rava for sure made a golem. And I heard someone say it's not a debate whether the Maral of Prague could make a golem. He for sure could have made a golem. Chelsea did make a golem. But the Chacham Tzvi, who lived, I guess, shortly after that, at the same time, but a raya. So he said Rava created a golem, and he said. They also said my grandfather, Belio, from Chelm, the Avbezin of Chelm, also created a golem. And he wanted to know, Shiloh, whether or not you can mitzaref, could you join together a golem for a minyan? Is it considered like a person for a minyan? So obviously the tzad that you cannot, the side that you would be a problem. This is not Mikdash B'nai Yisrael. It's not amongst B'nai Yisrael. It's not a Jew. It's not a human. The other tzad he brings down an interesting Gemara. The Gemara says that Gadol Yosem B'Tech Beis is someone who has an orphan in their house, and he brings them up, and he brings up a orphan boy, orphan girl. It's Ki'ilu Yolda Lada. It's like you created him. So he says maybe if you created it, like my Yadayim Shel Tzadikim is not any worse than bringing up a child. And obviously the place can to debate about that, how literally to take that Gemara. But he brings a fantastic, interesting raya. He says the raya to the Shiloh's Reb Zera actually decomposed the Goyim. I don't know if it was the same Goyim as Rabbi, but he took the Goyim and he turned it back into offer. So he says, why practically, why would he do that? How many times are we stuck without a 10th man to the minion? How many times do you need a center? So why would he do that if he could be mitzvah to the minion? It sounds like he cannot be mitzvah to the minion. But there, just as a side note, he speaks out. He said, "How could Rabbi Zera have decomposed the Goyim? It would be a problem of shvichas damim. What about that Shiloh? What about that side that he's killing? He's killing a form of life." So he says, and it's interesting. He makes up a drasha sort of. The Gemara says the pasuk says, "Shavich dam adam bi adam, dam yishafich." So says the Chacham Tzvi, like almost like reading a Chazal almost. Da'afka adam hanoitzer toich adam. The shavich dam ha'adam. What's the actual word bi adam? Da'afka, when you kill a person who was bi adam, who's created and born toich ha'adam, dahainu uber hanoitzer b'me'imai, a child that was born and grew and came from the mother's womb. That's when the pasuk says that shavich dam ha'adam ba'adam dam yishafei. But who gavra the bar of this Kollel that he created was not considered b'me'imai. It wasn't created b'me'imai. Therefore, it's not a problem of shvichas dam. Obviously, this is a very, very practical application. The child, he was created in a plastic petri dish. I don't know, plastic, whatever it's made out of. But it's definitely not at this point for sure. Maybe when you retransplant it and then it's born, it'll be considered growing from right. It's that point it is coming me'imai, but at this point it's definitely not me'imai. According to Chacham Tzvi, it seems like it would be mutter. At least again, strictly in that sense of shvichas dam. That's the first, the one shiloh. The other shiloh which we mentioned was the shiloh of Haitzah. Throwing away seed is a problem, a very, very severe problem. The Shulchan says it's the most chamer de kavera. We talk about the most chamer. But anyways, so shiloh, what about that shiloh? So there's a tshuva for the Marsham. So according to Shiva Nishvus Avram, was a medical expert. He talked to the Gedolim and the place came a lot. We bring down the tshuva of the Marsham. Talks about a couple that were married for 10 years and they weren't to have children, and he says they're talking about a shiloh of taking out to see to check the sperm and the egg to see which one was mitzad who was having the complications, and he's talking about over there. Mamash the shiloh. He says, what about you're checking in Menias, you're checking the lady, they're going to end up throwing away whatever they're not using. So he says ein zeh begeder hashkafa. Doesn't have to constitute a destruction or throwing away the zera. Why? Keeping the efshir possible. Every single one has a potential that this one's going to be the one that you're going to end up using for the child. Even though it's a suffix tikkun, So you bring it right from Ramah. Ramah says a person is making the name of Hashem. I'm really putting it right from Saita, but a person just raises the name of Hashem. I'm asked to be masakin to enhance it, to make it better. Even though there's mechikas Hashem, but it's not a problem with mechikas Hashem because you're doing it. B'tayus tikkun, you're doing it as an enhancement. Even though this itself is not an enhancement, this itself is destruction, but it will be considered enhancing in the future, and therefore it would be considered, all this is included in tikkun. So he wants to say the same thing. Any of the extra fertilized eggs that even though you're throwing them away, it would not constitute hashkafa because it's all as a tikkun for the eventual, the one that's going to be. Everyone has a chance to be the right one, and therefore it's even though it's a suffix tikkun, so you're doing it b'shvil tikkun, you're doing it for a constructive purpose, it wouldn't be considered hashkafa zera. Another tzad, another perhaps way to say why it's not a problem by Haitzah Zelavatala is there's an Aruch HaShulchan in your day of Peidalid. Aruch HaShulchan says, talking about a shayla in vinegar, they had some sort of telam, some sort of worms inside in vinegar that was very small. So he's talking about the shayla, but he says Shamati. I heard Shebechol Minei Mayim, in any water, Ubiyichud, make Gesham, particularly when it comes to rainwater, it's filled with bruim dakim, it has amoebas, and it has all different types of species living inside of it. And the eye can't see them. And So technically it's a problem. How do you ever drink water? And he said, if you look at a microscope, the schuchas is a concept you could see. You could see very clearly. So why not a problem of eating? You're not eating bugs, shkatzim rumasim. So he says, Teretz is emasu the ostra Torah b'masha eina ayin shaleves by lo nit the Torah malachim. Torah wasn't given to malachim, so you have to live your life. How else do we live our lives? He says, the raya, the proof in the pudding is that you walk in the street, you walk in wherever you go. The ear is filled also with microcosm, I don't know, whatever these microorganisms and whatever, not microcosms, right? With all these, all different, different living creatures, and technically these bacteria and things that are alive, trillions and billions and millions of them, and why is that not a problem? Teretz is anything that I can see, that would not be a problem. In halachic aspect, we don't take that into account. According to this svar, which some place can bring this as a smach, as a raya, but also all these the fertilized eggs are so tiny, they're definitely not near leinayim, and therefore it wouldn't be a problem. I would imagine for both shechvas of meaning he's saying a general rule that halachic doesn't really count things that are not near leinayim to into cheshbon. I saw the place can say it regarding esrog. If you have a black dot on an esrog and it's beyond, you can't see it. You can see it under the microscope. Technically, also it wouldn't be a problem because it's not leinayim. The counter tying into this. I saw one, and I heard one from Shlomo Zalman. One time Shlomo Zalman says is that in this case, the instance where the fertilized egg is going to eventually form into a human organism, it's going to actually create something which is definitely yes leinayim. So therefore, it's not this cheshbon of leinit Torah malachim is only on things which are will and will always remain, smaller than that you can't see near leinayim. But once something is going to eventually cause and going to eventually evolve into a organism that itself would be not considered near leinayim. Another svar he says is if that's the way that you do it, when it comes, the way to fertilize the egg is with microscopically and doing things on such a microscopic level, that itself would not be considered. Like you can't say l'nit Torah malachim. That's how the process works. The process of IVF and all these things are under microscopic. That's how it's produced, and that's how it's created, and that's how it's cultivated, and therefore you wouldn't have a svar near an eye. That's only a svar when it comes to things that are generally done on a larger scale, and now it's being done so small that svar would apply. Just to so that's that's some of the halachic shilas that would apply. Hashkafically, so it seems to be like everyone seems to be very excited to bring down the shilah of kalayim. We find my kalayim. The Rishonim talk about the Chinuch Sefer Chinuch writes Hashem created the world b'chacham b'sfun v'das, and He made everything b'fi masher tzarich in everything like it needs to be, perfect, exact. Hashem made the world b'shleimus leineinu shu tzarich, and the Isser of Kalayim to mix two different species together of animals. That you're saying, so to speak, that Hashem, the world is chaser b'shleimusa. It's missing. You don't have a mule. It must be that we need a mule. It must be that Hashem didn't create the world perfectly. And the Ramban, similarly, the Ramban writes such a lashon. He says someone who's markiv shnei minin and creates a new species. He says is ki'ilu yachshav shlihishlam hakadosh baruch hu ba'olam kol hatzarich. It's like you're mashat. You said you makrish ma'aser bereishis. He said you're mamish. You're denying ma'aser bereishis because Hashem didn't create this, and you're trying to create a new entity. That itself would be a steer to ma'aser bereishis. That's what he says. There are those, the Goyai, the Maral says he doesn't know what the Ramban's talking about. The Medrash says, Kol davar shekadosh baruch hu bara b'sheish shemei bereishis tzarich tikkun. No, that's not true. We're here for tikkun. We're here to masak in the world. We know the famous Medrash, the Gemara brings down a famous Maisa, a famous story with Rabbi and Antonis Rufus, that they were discussing whose actions are better. Are Maisa b'nei Adam better? Are people's actions more pleasant? More we could do more, or Maisa of Hashem could accomplish more. And he brings a proof of the fact that we do mitzvah of milah. Hashem created us without a mitzvah of milah, and we need a tikkun, whatever the Hashem made it for, but whatever the reasons behind it are. But at the end of the day, the point of it is in order that we could do things that Hashem gave us a world to be masakin it, and we have to masakin and not taking the olam, not like that. But the concept of being masakin things that we have to do through our meisim, through our mitzvahs, and therefore, in fact, it wouldn't be necessarily a stira. We're not playing God as as they say.
Yeah, but it's a fine line between like refuah is mutter.
So that's what I was going to say.
What's the pashut?
I was going to ask. When it struck me, refuah is mutter.
Refuah is mutter.
Refuah is mutter.
Because there's a kasar.
Why not playing? You're not playing God. Why is it different than refuah? I mean, according to the first thought, the school of thought, that it's you're mixing in with the.
And the Rabbi has such a nusach somewhere that really.
Right, the Rabban says
That's supposed to be tough.
Right, but it's but in terms of pashut, that's right. Be makish my separation. So I think the answer, like I think you're saying, that when Hashem created animals a certain way, that's how He created them. So you have no right, so to speak, to mix in and to disturb that, as opposed to a person has a machal that comes about, and that's not the prototypical, healthy human being. Hashem created a human. So it's a chasara in this thing, and therefore that necessarily not necessarily would that be considered a stira and a kasha, because you're fixing something that's kind of broken, but it's not that's not the prototype. The prototype of the human is.
So in this case, so in terms of fixing genes, and so the question is, which category does it fall into? Does this fall into you're making something new,
So the
or
difference,
you're fixing a problem?
right? So the difference might be also slightly to change a little different is that by genetics, even if you have a problem, you have a problem, because I mean, again, we get into the shadow of if you were created like that. Hashem created you like that, as opposed to maybe if the machal came afterwards. Maybe that itself. I don't know. That might be also fun. I mean, Hashem. Yeah, after this, there's a lot of hashkafa. You have to debate with your local philosopher. Yes.
There's a concept of a person is born with potential for a lot of things, such as cancer, genetic disorders, and something uncovers that potential, such as an illness or a virus. So even like a cancer, Hashem could in a person produce the potential for the development of a cancer, and then it gets uncovered later in life by smoking or whatever the case might be. So these genetic disorders, sickle cell, spinal disorders, all the different things, is I think it's pashut that Hashem created that genetic makeup for that person for whatever reason. So the question is, with these genetic manipulations that you're discussing, is that Hashem makes a refuah before the mock. So is this something that in today's world of technology and artificial intelligence and all those things that we kind of shun away from,
Right.
did that allow us, Hashem's uncovering, to allow us to discover, to treat these devastating illnesses,
Right.
Tay-Sachs and other things.
Right. So these again. So I think ultimately the school of thought who says hashkafically no. I mean, they'll tell you. Again, I'm not saying I hold nothing of anything. I'm just saying is they say that this is mixing. This is also playing God. Yes, Hashem did create that, but maybe it's to test us. I don't know. A lot of conspiracy theories out there.
That's why we have toasting.
Yeah, that's a person needs a paisik, and a person needs a rav, and obviously a competent rav, and someone who about seichel, along with working together with. I have another sort of like a secondary topic if there's a. Yeah.
I have a question about the first
Yeah.
one. In vitro, they oftentimes will take the sperm from the testicle. It's not actually ejaculated. Does that change the concept of wasting seed?
So the place can do talk about that.
Unnaturally.
So you're saying that way.
There's a natural
They
way
talk
of
about
the seed being
it's
wasted is
interesting.
through
It's interesting.
ejaculation.
I didn't go huge sugya. What I did see a differentiation between, apparently there's a way that they do it is that they actually sometimes, I think the classic way of doing it is like you're saying that they take the sperm directly from the male. But there is some place came, I think Tzitz Eliezer, even though it's against the whole thing, he says it's definitely better to actually have regular intercourse, regular tashmish, and then remove it, because you're doing it derech tashmish. You're asking, you're asking in that itself. Right, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. He has a lot of, I think there, the way you do it that way, I know every time a woman's pregnant and the woman can't give birth, whatever age, still you're doing it derech tashmish. It would be that definitely would. I don't know about that. That the difference in terms of what your shiloh. Just this once I was discussing. Once I was in the lab, I was thinking about maybe so it got me thinking about lab grown meat. The shiloh about basar meat miturebet. I think that's the right way to say it. But the shaila cultured meat, meat that's grown in the lab. But the way they do it is that they actually take stem cells from a real piece of meat, and they can cultivate it and actually produce a shmaka steak. I think the OU recently gave their first hashkafa on lamb. Oh, that's the shaila. We have we have 4 shilas to the shaila. There's 4 parts to the shaila. One shaila is the basa b'chalav. Could you eat milk? Could you not? Are you fleishiks? A second shaila which they discuss is that the way that it's cultivated is that they take it and when they're developing it, they take some sort of serum from the blood of the animal, and they take out they remove all the white blood cells, the red blood cells, and you're basically left over with it's a very watery substance at that point. The question is, if it's cultivated through something which is really blood, is it a problem of chilas dam? Is it a problem of blood? Is that what? So right, so shaila is now it's not blood. You think you remove, but the serum itself is blood based. I don't know. Maybe someone knows a little more about it than me, but that seems like. So this is true from Russia Weiss. I think he was he's writing through Menachem Gnak, who was head of the OU. So he writes over here. I think this is the tshuva that the final tshuva. The third shaila, which you could discuss, is talking about where the animal have to come from. Can I take it from a kosher animal? Do I need to take it from a kosher animal? Do I need to take it from an animal that has shchita to it? Can I take it from a tummy animal? Like how much do you buy into it that it's meat? This is not the Impossible Burger. The Impossible Burger is totally not meat, and that's for sure not a shaila. This is a shaila of something that actually has stem cells that come from meat. And the fourth shaila is you could discuss maybe it's Abraham Achai. Could be Abraham Achai because if you're what is it?
Somebody actually holds that you can take it from a tummy animal?
You want to know if someone actually holds like that?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Listen. You want to know? I quickly. What I went through, I didn't see anyone does mine. I mean, it seems not, but meaning, I wouldn't be surprised. One of the opinions I'll tell you afterwards. Anyways, the fourth shaila is no, just because I can't say for sure what I'll say about that, but
why would the last one be ever mean chai?
Because where are you getting it from?
It's a lot of animals.
They make the whole animal.
Let's say you took it from a different animal. Right.
So it's like yotzei.
But I think I don't even if you took it from an animal that had shchita, I wonder maybe it's still worse. Let's say you took an animal that had shchita. I don't do you check the animal and they take it from the animal? Could be this is creation. It didn't have a shchita on it.
It's not alive.
Saying that itself not alive. Right? So saying could be the Abraham Achai shaila would be only.
Getting it from a ben bekua, which was born inside a shechli animal, then you have no problem with shechita.
That's better, right?
No problem with Minachai.
Right. Russia Weiss, right? He writes that. Russia Weiss talks about that. Weiss. Yeah. The share's off then. Yeah. Okay, so just interesting. My Mekaymis, Hanukkah's coming up, so maybe we can get through some Hanukkah tushta. The first shayla we're discussing is it considered basar? Is it considered real meat? Fleishigs? Could you have a cheeseburger? Yeah, I'm saying there's obvious stores. Stores will be selling it everywhere. So the first shayla, which we discussed, we mentioned before, basically, is obviously can't compare this to. There's a very famous. I love this dish. I never tried it. Chatzilim b'tam kaved. Eggplant that tastes like liver. There, actually, it's no like the Impossible Burger. It just tastes like fleishigs, but it's not fleishig. It's just tastes like that. But that's obviously not a shayla at all. Question over here: when you manufacture it and once it's produced and once it's created, it has. And you microscopically you look under the cells and it actually has meat. Meat-based the cells. So therefore, the question would be worse l'chayr. Or do you say no? At the end of the day, this itself, right now, it came from that. But even though technically now it looks like meat, but where did it come from? How was it created? It was created in a lab. It's not fleishigs. So some of the rise, the Gemara says in Menachos Samach Tes, chitin shiardu ba'avim. Literally, what it means is grain that came from the clouds. Rashi learns. The way Taisus I think learns that it taka means through an ace. There was an ace. Somehow the clouds created wheat. The Shal Gemara there is could you use them for the Shtei Alechem which are brought on Shavuos? The Gemara says the suffix is, it says mi moshe seichem. You have to take the lechem from amongst your dwellings, and this is not moshe seichem technically. Or do you say it is moshe seichem? Moshe seichem is just coming to exclude chutz la'aretz outside Eretz Yisrael. So the Rosh Weiss Medayik, wants Medayik, it sounds like that if not the problem with Moshe Seichem, if not the problem that has to come from technically from amongst you, and it can't come from the only tzad that it does not work is because it's lacking in Moshe Seichem. It would seem to indicate that it really is called chita. So he's saying is a similar type of shiloh. It came from the source is nace. It wasn't grown. It didn't come from Moshe Seichem. I mean, it didn't come from wheat. It's not naturally grown wheat. But it has characteristics of wheat. It looks like wheat. It tastes like wheat. It acts like a duck. It talks like a duck. It walks like a duck. It's a duck. So maybe the same thing when it comes to, wheat should be the same thing. It should be. It's like it's wheat now, but it's not really sourced in wheat. So would that be a problem or not? It seems like from the Gemara, if not for the problem of Moshe Seichem, which is specific to the menachos, then it seems like Oshtei Lechem, then it would seem like it would not be a problem. That's one of his rayas. He brings another raya, from an Erchanik, the famous Kash. There is a famous question that they attribute this to Rabbi Chaim Brisker, but really I think before the Beis Yosef, Pichadosh talk about it, whether or not we know that the way the Nes Chanukah occurred was they had enough for one night, and the 8 nights, and basically the rest of the shemen was shemen shel nes. It was miracle oil. So miracle oil, that's not oil. It's a new substance. It's miraculously created substance. Why is that oil? It didn't come from olive. I know it's not a natural. It's not regular oil. Now it looks like oil, and it actually has the characteristics of oil, but it's technically coming from a source that's not natural, and the chayr would be a problem. So it's not shemen zayis. That's their question. It's not shemen zayis.
What shemen zayis? Just lasted longer.
So you're saying right? So you're saying like, yeah. No, you're not. Again, you're not. Yeah, you could. There's different study. So he wants to say, one of the studies to answer the question is no. And very nice that it came from. Who cares where it came from? But now it's oil. Now it tastes like oil. Now it burns like oil, and has the molecular characteristics of oil that itself would be considered shemen, even though we don't care about how it came about. Similar to the meat, we don't care how it wasn't created, shechted from an animal, but it still right now has the characteristics of basar, so therefore would be considered basar. Two counter ayahs to this is there's a Malbim. The Rishonim discussed the question of how could Avraham Avinu have fed chema v'cholav and ben abakar. He fed milk and meat to the malachim. So everyone talks about it, and they discuss different eitzes. So the Malbim says, the Dr. Tshuva brings that from a Malbim. He said that Avraham Avinu actually created the bakar through Sefer Yitzira. It was not a natural animal, and therefore there's no problem of eating basar b'chalaf, which is created from Sefer Yitzira. So what do you mean? Right now it's bakar, it's basar, it's flesh. It's you can make smoke as much meat as you want from it. It's regular basar. So why is that not considered bona fide basar? It seems like he's saying that it would be lacking in some way. Maybe you could apply this to our shayla also. It's not coming from a cow. It's not coming from creation, natural cow. So maybe it would not be basar. A similar raya, there's a shalal, like similar type of raya, the shvatim. Shvatim came and accused Yosef Hatzadik of eating Eivim ben Achai. I'm sorry, Yosef accused the shvatim of eating Eivim ben Achai. So the question is, the shvatim, the shittei kah, how could they be Eivim ben Achai? And again, the shalal says that it was taka, not one of the ben pekua. That's one of the eitzes that they say. I think the Chum brings that down. But other eitzah, which the Malbim says, is that the oven was created through Sefer Yitzira, and therefore didn't require a shechita. And again, similar idea that it's not a natural cow, and therefore would not require properly shechita.
How do we run out of food?
But the chayra, upon further review, is called overturned. That they want to tie into that it's not a good sushta. It's not a good. You can't apply this because over there, even though at the end of the day, stem cells are stem cells. You're actually applying real stem cells to the meat. So by Sefer Yitzira through Nisan, it was something that was totally not. It was called kulenes. It wasn't any characteristics, even though now it had, but it didn't come from a real piece of meat. Here, you're actually creating it through the meat, and itself, in fact, would be considered a basar. Just to move quickly to the other shiloh, the shiloh regarding that it's actually developed in a serum which is based in blood. They want to bring a raya from the Gemara B'chayres. The Gemara B'chayres says we need a special pasuk to allow to be mater cholov, milk from a cow, from a sheep, from a goat, because why does it need a special pasuk? Because really, cholov milk is dam shenechar. It's really blood that through the process congeals and it turns into milk. So the Gemara needs a special pasuk where it goes through various psukim, and Gemara needs a special limud that it's mutter to drink milk. So Rabbi Weiss wants to bring a raya. Apparently, you see from here. What do you mean? Now it's milk. Who cares about the past? Sounds like something that was actually created and cultivated through dam would be a problem problem of blood. So to which he responds. There's a few different answers, but he brings after it. Rabbi in Chulin says that it's not a raya because what's the yesod over there that what's the havamid? What's the thought process to say that chalav would be aser? It's not because it was produced by and it came about through dam. Rather, the concept of the Gemara, the Mishnah B'chayres talks about if you have a cow that gives birth to a rabbit. If we have a gamel that gives birth to a para, meaning a kosher animal gives birth to a non-kosher animal, or vice versa, then you would then the concept of a bam and a tame. If it comes from a tame animal, it's tame. It comes from a tar, it's tar. That's the rule. So Kollel says it's a new din. It's a din. If you're noilad, if you're created, and you're coming through something which is it's birthed through a davar tame, then it's tame. Birthed through davar tar is tar. So what do you say? The Gemara talks about the kasha. Yeah. Spot on. That's not much good. So my thing about it's not in the animal. It's in the animal. I don't know the animal. But
yeah, we chew it.
Oh.
You only chew it and then spit it out.
Right. So Rabbi Kollel says, therefore, Rabbi Kollel says the yesod of the Gemara is that dam which comes from milk which comes from dam. It's there it can be considered. It's yotze dam which is nechar and asachol is yotze from the comes so to speak. It's like it fits the category of bam and tar. The having that milk would be aser was because I would think that it's like called ba menatame tame, and therefore it's worse than over here. You can't really say that this is considered ba menatame, even though it's cultivating it, but it's not literally changing into that. And his last and the Rabbi he just finishes up. He doesn't really say any rayas this, but he says pasha of it has to be from an animal which is kosher. It can't be from a tame animal, and it has to be from an animal which is shechted. He says to avoid the problem of nachai. He doesn't really bring any proofs to it, but anyways, yeah, no, this is
What's his sacrifice of his question?
yeah. I think I think he's coming out.
Are we gonna agree with him?
What? I didn't see the response. This is
Is it actually sold in the marketplace?
I mean, you just give a hashkafa to it. I'm sure it's probably very expensive at this point, and probably who did I hear from? I heard this from somebody else, and he said that right now it's less healthy and it's much more expensive, but with time they probably will figure a way to produce it cheaper. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see it in the store in your local supermarket soon. Shkai Chavais for coming.
Which cut of meat is
I don't know. Wonder could they create any